Well, lads, how's things? Long time no chat, haven't done a video for you in ages. Things have been ticking along quite busy here in the last while. We've been flat out. The hot weather has made things really difficult for us though. It's not been easy whatsoever. But it's 6:30 and we're downtown and doing a few of our early morning shops. Again, it's a great start to the day. 6:30, no one's around. You can pull up right outside the shop and you can just crack on. There's no bother whatsoever. Loads and loads of jobs have been coming in. We've been absolutely headless at the moment. But what I wanted to talk about is in the busy season, there's a few changes that we have to make. And as you might know from my videos, I don't have any more a secretary. She was doing about 20 hours a day, and I can see how she was doing 20 hours a day, 20 hours a week, 25 hours a week. And I can see how she was doing that many hours because the phone calls that come in are absolutely crazy. Like, I have this phone for work, and the phone calls are like, we could get 20 or 30 phone calls a day, and it brings its own challenges, and I suppose it's all about your mindset at the end of the day. But we could get 20 phone calls, and some of it will be for services that we don't do, like power washing and things like that. Other things, it'll be people ringing, complaining, saying that they rang 2-3 weeks ago and we still haven't gotten out to them if they're new customers. Because if they're old customers, we of course we try and get to them as quickly as we can. But there's new people complaining that we haven't been there, all that sort of stuff. And I suppose I've really had to harden myself over the last while, and it's kind of an ongoing process. I wouldn't say that I'm there yet, but I really had to harden myself to a certain extent to new people complaining about times of getting there. And I suppose people complaining in general, not necessarily about a bad job, but complaining about time they're waiting, that they wanted it done before certain events, and just in general people being a bit selfish and wanting things done then and there, which I suppose people say the phone ringing is a great complaint, and I suppose it is a great complaint. It's better than if it was quiet. And don't get me wrong, I've created this, and between Facebook and the demand, but at the same time there has to be a degree of separation. So like, my phone is ringing all weekend. It's ringing Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. It's ringing all the time, non-stop. And I suppose you have to kind of be okay with that, and you have to make a division. And if we're on a job and I'm not necessarily going near my phone, if a person rings 10 times over and over and over till they get you, because in their mind they have an emergency, well then I kind of have to prioritize getting that job done. And if they annoy me enough on the phone, well then I might not be getting back to them at all. And I know that sounds really hard, and when you don't have much work, that sounds a bit scandalous. But it's just not physically possible to stretch yourself that thin. And that's what I found, that I could spend all day literally on the phone, all evening on the phone, and it just doesn't work. You have to have time for yourself. You have to have that bit of time quiet. And my message reflects that. It says that people might not get a response straight away. It might take a day or two to get back to their query. And if people have emergencies, well then I will try and help them out and get to them. But at the same time, people, I suppose, have to learn that you're busy, and have to learn that you just can't drop everything. And people aren't necessarily happy with that, but we have to choose what's best for us, and we can only physically do so much. Because there's not always profitability in a third person. There's not always profitability in a second van, because all of that has to be organised. And so, as we found last year with the organising process, that took up so much money. that it just kind of wasn't viable either. So that's kind of what the paradigm shift that I'm having in one area, and it's that having to toughen up a bit. The people will get on the phone and tell you a sob story how they need it doing tomorrow because they have a wedding or they have this, that or the other. But at the same time, you have to do it because it suits you and not be completely battered by customers into doing it when it suits them. Like over the weekend, I was having a woman hound me over wanting her inside and outside of her mansion done because blinds are coming today on Monday. And again, it was a matter of she was ringing Sunday afternoon, ringing, and I sent a text message to her to say that I was out with the kids and I couldn't answer the call, but then I could chat to her later. So I rang her later, and she was saying about that she had blinds come today, so she wanted the windows done. So we're squeezing her in at 9:30 after some of our shops before some of our other customers. So, do you know what I mean? So it's not being bullied into people's emergencies, and just stepping back and having like good customer service, but at the same time, like I would be awful for, in years past, for dropping stuff and going out and doing it just because somebody's emergency, you know, dropping all the family, dropping everything, cancelling other customers, you know, being a bit stressed or a bit anxious about it, when instead I just need to say, you know, well, you should have either told us sooner, told us about your emergency, and if we can't get to you, that's not our problem, that's not our fault even. Go to another service provider. But I suppose we had the thing that we had to service everybody. But at the end of the day, you can only do your best, and you have to do what's profitable for you first before you can do anything else. Well, here the street sweeper here, so I better move on. So lads, that's one lesson that I've learned, to be that little bit harder, to be that little bit less gullible with customers, that little bit more. Less caring comes across a little bit too cold, but just to be, just to look after yourself, not to do it at the detriment of yourself. I suppose that's a good way of doing it, whether that's answering phone calls ridiculous all day long, or whether that's whatever you're doing for customers, just to make sure you're not doing it at your own detriment, not running yourself ragged. And again, it's all down to the season. So when things are a little bit quieter, people will probably get better customer service. But again, that's just part and parcel of how the cookie crumbles. So the other paradigm shift, it's all about paradigm shifts at the moment, is I turned 35 at the weekend. And getting to be an old man now. When you thought of 35-year-olds before, you thought of them as ancient. So 35 now, and I suppose I was living in the 30 to 35-year-old bracket beforehand, obviously, and that, I think that brings its own mentality. And then the 35 to 40, I really feel like I'm in a bracket now of the 35 to 40, that things are starting to get on a bit. That I'm starting to get a bit into middle age, and whatever that means. And I suppose it's kind of like, it just kind of, last night I was laying there in the bed and I was thinking about my life and my life's choices and where I am, and I'm happy with where I am, and I'm understanding myself better and better every day, I feel. I understand when I need downtime and when I'm able to go for it, and just when I need to look after myself a bit, when my brain is a bit fried and when it's not a bit fried, and what I need to do in those times to look after myself, and not to be afraid to do things for me that look after my mental health, that bring me joy at the end of the day. So where I suppose I kind of formulated a little bit of an impromptu plan for the next 5 years. Like, where do I want to be in the 35 to 40 year bracket? And business maturing all the time, that would be nice. and we're learning stuff every year. We're adding new profitable services. I'll do a video on roof spraying with the biocide. We're adding new services all the time that are very profitable. We're fine-tuning stuff. We're getting more kind of, I suppose, recognition and bigger jobs. I suppose we're not doing a whole pile of outside marketing at the moment, which is strange to say. Like, we are doing Facebook for commercials, for private stuff, but on the commercial side we're really not doing any cold calling for commercial stuff anymore, because we're just trying to service the commercial stuff that we have. But because of all the hard work that we've done in the past, commercial stuff is still coming our way, new commercial things, but that's kind of a little bit more organically because of the work that we've done in the past, and the constant marketing, I suppose, with the van signage, being seen at jobs, word of mouth and all that sort of jazz. So basically, where do I want to be in 5 years' time? And even from personal goals, you know, I've been off on eating good to not eat necessarily eating junk, but eating too much. So again, I've been doing really well on the exercise and stuff, but again, it's not enough. I really need to get, because for me, for my body, for me to lose weight and maintain a low weight, I have to be really, really strict. And that all kind of comes down to my brain and stuff like that again, but I have to be really, really strict. It doesn't, I can't nibble at stuff the way that some people come. And if I look at food, I seem to put on weight, because when I was a young kid, when I was 17, I was 18 stone. So I don't know, is that 250 pound for you Americans? So I was a real fat kid, and I suppose it's something that I kind of very conscious about on a daily basis. So again, even goals that way, that I want to, I suppose, as the bus is doing a 3-point turn beside me, I want to really focus on where do I want to be at age 40. So for this 5-year gap, where do I want the business to be, and where do I want my family life to be, and where do I want to be for myself? So I suppose sometimes you just have to have those big shifts, or those points that you reach where you kind of go, you know, that's it for today. I'm going to make a change starting now. And even if you've said that yesterday and you failed, well then today is still a new different day. If you failed this morning, there's always this afternoon. You know, it's never too late to make that change. And loads of small habits just change on a daily basis. Like, I'm always up now at 6 a.m. The alarm clock goes off at 5:50 every day, and I'm up because I want to be. So yeah, so bits of changes like that that I have with the list for today. Pat should be here any minute, and we're going to start knocking these out. And a lot of it today as well is invoicing. I've been sitting here while I've been waiting, doing some online invoicing as well for customers, because it's just as important to get the money in as it is doing the jobs. So here, guys, I hope you have a good day, and that was my rant for a Monday.